Welcome to the WIT podcast, a special edition to mark the 10th anniversary of Klook. I mean, I can't believe it. 10 years just flew by. It was started in 2014 by two friends, Ethan Lin and Eric Gnock, and it's grown into Asia's biggest and most significant platform for tours, activities, transportation, and more. So my name is Yo Siu Hoon. I'm the founder of WIT, Web and Travel, and I have the great pleasure today of interviewing Eric and Ethan together to talk about their journey, which literally started with a trekking journey through Nepal, which only proves my belief in the power of travel to change lives. First, tell me about the holiday in Nepal and, what was that moment that triggered and say, why don't we do something like Klook and make global travelers, out of everybody?
I think to me, right, that was 2014. I was already back to Asia for about seven to 8 years, right? Nepal was the first trip where it was out of the comfort zone, right? Like for 7 to 8 years back in Asia, it was, the Bangkok, the Tokyo, everything I was kind of familiar with, easy with, right? But going to Nepal was definitely kind of a more outside of comfort zone. I still remember there was a lot of new vocab that I learned, like canyoning. I actually really didn't know what canyoning means. So again, I think there was a lot of those activities that I used to not do, but on the Nepal trip that I did. So I think where then it led to is that, when you go to a very unfamiliar places, that was, I think, the light bulb that there's a lot of preparations, there's a lot of trust that you have to build, whether it's with your operators that you're trying to book the activities with. That was, I think, the trigger, right? Going to like the easy places, to us, it was very familiar. So it didn't kind of create that light bulb at the beginning.
Right.
There was actually another small incident in that trip, which we barely talk in public.
I know
when we're flying back from Pokhara to Kathmandu, we took the flight. So when we went the other way, we took the bus, which is 8 to 9 hours. So on the way, we did a lot of activities. So flying back, the plane that fly an hour ahead of us, unfortunately crashed.
On the same route.
There was five
Chinese nationals as well.
That died. So the news was out, but we were still on the other flight. So his mom cannot contact him. Well, his mom knows that we are on that trip. They so freaked out because the news was out there was a plane crash, right? So to a certain degree, then one of the triggers is oh my God, you just never know what will happen in life. Then let's just do something, right? So that was actually another small thing that we barely talk about because we do feel it's not, there was plane crash that time.
Yeah. So it was a combination of elements, wasn't it? It was your first time in an unfamiliar territory, doing things that you've never actually thought you could do before. It brought out sort of that adventure and thrill in you. And then having that happen made you realize how short life is, and then you sort of say, okay, we better do what we actually love, right? Rather than banking. Most ideas are started on the back of coasters. Where was the first idea of Klook written on?
So the idea was written on the phone note, but the first things that we really putting down together was the numbers, which was on Excel. That's just a professional habit, right? The number need to make sense before the idea. I think back then we still use Dropbox. Oh, yes, right. Sorry.
When Google Drive was not yet that
Dropbox. Sorry. We literally just laying out, a lot of the numbers, the breakdown, the sign estimate, what's the unit economic, what makes sense, what the gross production rate, how much of the money you need, what's the runway, how much do we need to put ourselves if no one's putting the money. Yeah, this is how we actually putting all the things down first before we started and think it's something possible.
How much did you put in?
Well, I had to sell my first apartment in Hong Kong after, I think, 4 years in banking. I bought, a very small apartment in Hong Kong, and I had to sell that to get that fund to start the business.
But you did make the money on that one.
Yeah, there was profit on that for sure. So it was a profitable investment.
So you bet your apartment on the business, basically. What about
I didn't buy anything, so I just have my savings. Yeah. So we both put a few million Hong Kong dollar. So total, I think probably $1 million US. That's how much we put in first.
Between the two of you? Okay.
So even though we have what we call the seed investors, but that was actually coming after half to a year of the business running. That's already generating a cash flow, a growing business. It's not just an idea on the table because we could not raise fund. But we were fortunate because we worked for 7 years, so we actually have the saving also to put in.
Right.
Yeah.
So you really put your own
Skin in the game.
skin in the
Okay.
game, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Ethan still always joke about how our first website was basically designed on PowerPoint.
But I heard that one of the very first experiences was a heritage and haunted tour in Hong Kong. What was the biggest challenge?
In the early stage, it's actually knocking the door with the merchant partners. You're not a sector person, so no one knows us.
Talking to the lodge merchants, they were not entertaining us at the very beginning.